All right. We have full house.
Yeah, there we go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time today to attend our 12th annual statewide symposium here with the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. It is a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Sonia Vasquez. I am the Employee Engagement Coordinator, the Gilbert Coordinator, and the Military Spouse Lead for the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. Today's topic is going to be what makes an organization veteran friendly and or veteran awesome. The differences between supporting, and it can be something as simple as having a support system for our veteran community, our service members, our military spouses, and their families within your organization. So there's a few things that actually can make an employer successful within an organization, right? There's a lot of things that can make you great, but there are two primary things that can make an organization an awesome place to work for a veteran. In HR, a very strong HR department and recruiting team are crucial. Someone that understands the military culture is very, very important in order to really support our veterans going into those organizations. And an active veteran affiliated employer resource group or a sponsorship program or a resource program in order to really support our transitioning service members doing skill bridge, or our veteran community, military spouses, and their families. What are a few key elements to make that makes a successful resource group? Having a strong, supportive leader is very important. A passionate leader that really offers that assistance, that really offers the support. Having a clear purpose and guidance is very important for those transitioning service members looking to get into the civilian sector. Goals, tangible and measurable goals are very important in order to have a very clear track to the successful civilian sector. Resources, whether there are resources that you have implemented within your organization or resources like ours, like the Arizona Coalition for Military Families, that has a lot of different layers that can offer support to our service members is crucial. And feedback, making sure that you offer feedback to those service members or veterans in order to grow within your organization. We have the pleasure today to have two key speakers. We have Michael Brice, the president for BW Cyber and founder. And I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself real quick, and then we go to Anthony.
Great. Thank you very much, Sonia. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a former veteran. I'm still a veteran, I suppose. Former Marine Corps, still recovering. Spent time during the first Gulf War and got out in 1992. Stayed in the reserves into the early 2000s. And it's just a pleasure to be here. As the president of BW Cyber Services, we're a bootstrap organization that I started years ago by myself. We now have multiple veterans. We are a huge SkillBridge proponent and have a great relationship with SkillBridge and have benefited tremendously through the SkillBridge program. The way I would relay this is that it's a win-win. It's a win for us. It's a win for the veterans that we recruit and hire. And I definitely think it's a win for the program because I will be the biggest cheerleader in the world for this program and for the services that are provided. Just as a personal note, when I got out in 1992, basically, I think I had 1 month of assistance. The career assistance program was basically a 4-hour program. And if I remember correctly, I was told, do your best to get a job at the post office because they have great benefits. And so when I see what the military and when organizations like SkillBridge are doing for our veterans, it just really makes me proud and excited. So thank you, Sonia, for being here. I'm looking forward to the program today.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure. And we also have Anthony Gilbert, who is the program manager of military and veteran recruitment for Raytheon Missiles and Defense.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Like Michael said, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I am also a military veteran. I served in the Army from 96 or 95 to 2015. I did over 20 years. I was Army Intel for a while, and like Michael, the transition program back then was there wasn't one. That's how they kept you in the military. It was a joke that they would take your ID card and stick you at the front gate and good luck. And that's why I continue to stay in. I know after my first enlistment, spent some time in an intelligence community in the Army, ended my career in recruiting. I was fortunate enough to do the SkillBridge program when it first started. And I did it with one of our competitors, Lockheed Martin. So I was Lockheed Martin's first SkillBridge fellow inside the company, and was fortunate enough to be hired on with them, and grew their SkillBridge program over the years. I've been with Raytheon now about 9 months. I am the program manager, military and veteran recruitment. I sit in Denver, Colorado remotely, and I have a team that sits in Boston and in the Tucson area. I really love what I do, love helping veterans, and hope we can help you all become a veteran awesome company with some of the things that we're doing inside the industry. Looking forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. And I remember actually the first time that I met you, right? I was at the top office working with a SkillBridge candidate, and it was his first day. And I remember trying to get this packet through, and I just called him, and he called me right back, and we tried as quickly as possible to do this packet for the service member, and it was his first day. So thank you so much for your passion and for the support that you offer our service members, whether they are transitioning, veterans, their families, and everyone in this community. Michael, I want to ask you a few questions, but one of the questions that I want to ask you is, I remember that offline, you and I have discussed previously about the process that you use for our transitioning service members getting into the program. You go through different phases, you go through different kinds of mentorship programs to offer this transitioning service members guidance through the SkillBridge, through their career, and to make sure that they have a smooth transition. Could you go a little bit over that?
Yeah, happy to. We look at the process from a active duty service member becoming a veteran, being a holistic migration in which SkillBridge has given us the opportunity to actually have 4 phases. And we take each of those phases very seriously. So the way we look at it is the first phase is kind of, I'd consider it speed dating. And that is, we meet the candidate meets us. We're very clear in that first meeting that we're not there to, quote unquote, just I don't know, get a free body, so to speak. We want to make sure that it's going to be a good relationship. We have, I would call it an interview, but it's not a traditional interview. Our interview is more of, we assume the individual can provide value in one way or another. We know the skills that they're coming to the table with. We want to make sure those skills are a good fit, of course. And we know that the fit's going to be good from a work ethic, but we want to make sure the culture is a good fit. So when we meet a service member, we tell them, hey, this isn't your traditional interview where we ask you a bunch of questions and try to make you prove to us that you're a good fit. Instead, we have a conversation in which we tell them what we do, what we think their life would be like with us, and what we would expect in the long term. And then conversely, we ask them to interview us. And the idea is, we're not getting an intern, we're not getting a body. We're looking to have somebody who makes the transition and is with us for the long term. That's phase 1. The assumption is, and it's not always this way, we have taken a pass on other people, and as we've told them, they can take a pass on us. It's never because they're not a good person. More often than not, it's that we know for a long-term fit, they're probably not going to fit in well. And we're very clear with them on that, so that they can understand that they don't go with another business where they might also not be a good fit, because a lot of the service members might never have worked in the commercial sector and don't know what it's like after the polish wears off and they're put in a position and one day they realize, this is not what I want to do, or not what I'm good at. Once we determine whether or not we think they're a good fit and they think we're a good fit, we actually start our outreach immediately. And assuming that we get to go and they say, yes, they want to, come with our team, which we're hopeful they will. And so far, it's always worked that way. There's usually a couple months before they transition. And during that process, we assign a sponsor. We make sure that sponsor generally is a veteran themselves. And we make sure they understand your job is not to mentor this person professionally. Your job is to be basically like in the military. When you go to a new command, make sure everything's okay. Make sure the wife understands what's going on. Make sure you figure out what life will be like. Questions about whether or not Michael Brice really is a nice guy, or whether that's just for show, and the day you show up, he's a real jerk. We assign that so we make sure that they feel comfortable and loved, so to speak, before they even get there. Then we have the transition time for SkillBridge, which is phase 3, where they're working with us. And we're purposeful to not basically just say, hey, sit in the conference room and read these manuals, or, just do whatever Bob says or Mary says. We have a training program for them that's basically OJT. And that is, we think we already know where we want to hire you. We think we know the fit you're going to have. So let's spend some time training you for your first month. And then let's kind of put you in the ball game immediately. We want to see, and we want you to know what you're going to do with us, because our job here isn't to just be friendly. It's not just to have a sponsor. It's not to hang out. It's to provide you a career and to provide us a team member. That's the first 3 phases. The last phase is when we go in to make an offer. I spend a lot of time personally with our veterans to explain to them the difference from the military to the civilian. And I'm very, very candid and very blunt. Now, I'm a former Marine, so I can't help myself on those. But the idea here is we're going to make them an offer. If we're going to make an offer, I tell them, first off, they're going to know if they're not doing well with us way before their time turns out. But we want to make an offer within 30 days before their time expires. And the idea is, I'm going to coach them on what they should be looking for on an offer, why we make the offer, how their career is going to progress. And then ultimately, if for some reason it's not a good fit, if they think they can do better, I want them to have a full month to be job hunting, to use us as a reference. They will get a good reference. I cannot imagine that. So that they're not suddenly, I can only imagine, and this did happen to me, you don't really understand what's going on, and one day someone pulls the rug out from under you. So the idea is they've got plenty of time. Now, that's never happened. I hope it does never happen, but that's the kind of openness we have, so that they also understand there's an intangible that they may not see with other companies. And that's really important to us, because I feel more so than money, the relationship the serviceman has with their coworkers and their supervisor is much more important than pay. And we want to make sure that we have that nailed, so that when it comes time to negotiate salary, it's not really a big deal, so to speak. And of course, we do want to make sure we take care of people and let them feel good about what they've gotten into.
I like that. And I like the fact that you bring connecting with the families, making sure that the whole family as a whole has a support system, because it's really important, especially for these transitioning service members that are going into the civilian sector, something that they don't know, right? Or some of them have been in the military for over 20 years. When they joined, they were children. So really understanding the culture, really having someone there to support them, to guide them, is key to success. And it's key to retention too, making sure that they feel supported, guided, mentored. Those things are very, very important. Tony, I know you have also a program, right, within your organization. Could you discuss a little bit about the process and what you have implemented within Raytheon to really support our military community?
Yeah, there's several things we've implemented. So the first thing that we did was create a military relations team, and that's what I was brought onto the company to do. I think that's really foundationally the first thing that you want to do is have a solid team in place that's dedicated to military veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouse hiring. And I think that's really where you turn the page when it comes to going from like veteran friendly to like veteran awesome, is really showing our service members that you have a dedicated team. So I would say really the first step is to have a dedicated team in place. For my team, I have it broke out by region. So I have, people that team members that sit in our locations based off of where our facilities are. And we offer a lot of services to veterans. And what I tell my team is that our job is to help veterans find employment. And if that's not with Raytheon, so be it. At the end of the day, we want to see veterans employed, spouses employed. So when we know that not everyone's going to be a fit for Raytheon or for Michael's company, but we want to make sure as we're helping them or guiding them through the process that we're providing them resources on how to, get a better resume for free, or how to tailor their resume for jobs, or how to search a job site. Just simple things that not only will help them inside of our company, but help them just in general with their search. We provide a ton of one-on-one mentor sessions. Even as the program director for our military and veteran recruitment, I still block 4 or 5 hours a week out of my calendar just to have one-on-one mentor calls with veterans, spouses, because really at the end of the day, it's about helping veterans. And my team does the same thing. So I would say that's one of the first things we do. When it comes to SkillBridge, we have a very robust SkillBridge program. We take all of our candidates that come into our pipelines. We do a lot of matchmaking, I would say. We promote out all of our veterans across the business. So just inside of RMD, we're over 30,000 employees. So probably 10 to 15% of those are what we call people leaders. So we're trying to promote out all these veterans that want full-time roles, SkillBridge opportunities to all these managers. And then we pitch the programs, SkillBridge, full-time employment programs. And then we also kind of approach it a different way. We are a very large company. So we tell veterans, go find roles that really interest you inside the company. Here's how to tailor your resume for that role. And we'll hand deliver their resume to that manager and recruiter and say, hey, can you please interview this veteran? What that does, it pulls them out of that giant black hole of our applicant tracking system, because you can imagine some jobs we get 500 candidates for one position apply to a role. So my team's job is to pull those veterans and spouses out of that black hole and put them right in front of the managers and recruiters. And we do the same for SkillBridge too. If they've found roles online, we say, hey, don't go apply to this role because that just doesn't make sense. You're looking for a SkillBridge opportunity, not a full-time role. But we will take the candidate and explain the SkillBridge program to the manager if they don't know about it. We do a lot of events like this where we're in the community trying to help veterans and other organizations be successful in the veteran hiring arena. So
that's perfect. Thank you so much. And I love the difference in the two different employers, right? Because we see the two different approaches where the outcome is the same. It's to support our military community. It is to support that service member that is transitioning out of the military and going through SkillBridge, or that veteran or that spouse to be successful within your organization, to feel supported, to feel seen and appreciated. So that's really important. Michael, as a veteran, what issues do you think employers should be more aware of, or we should emphasize more to support our military community?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of answer that in a bit of a circular way, because I do like the fact that we're not just veteran friendly, we're veteran awesome. And I guarantee you, I mean, that's definitely how Tony and I feel. And there's a passion to veteran awesome. And I'm going to point out that I've seen other organizations that say they're veteran friendly. And I'm not saying that they're not veteran friendly, but I think when they say they're veteran friendly, they mean, hey, we think veterans make good employees, so we'd love to have you. Well, that's great. But I think veteran awesome means we served. And when we get a person, we want to take time to help them transition and translate into the civilian sector. So some of the things that we look at to help with that, and I really, Tony, I love the fact you take 4 hours a week. With every new SkillBridge candidate that we get, I have a one-on-one with them for the first couple of weeks, almost every day. And then as we move forward, every Friday. And first off, I tell them, this is not a business call, it's a personal call. Okay, we're going to talk business, but it's personal. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? You know, how's things? It turns out veterans are different. They may have active duty wives, or wives might have active duty husbands. And example, we do have a veteran SkillBridge candidate whose wife's deployed. I think a lot of times in the business world where people aren't veteran awesome, it's kind of like, hey, you got to do your 8 to 5, and maybe we expect 8 to 6 or 8 to 7, and suck it up, buttercup. And I do make sure that when we have our veterans join us, first and foremost, and this is a cultural thing, and it goes against everything that I learned in the Marine Corps. The first thing I say is, if you call me Mr. Brice, you're referring to my father. And if you call me sir, for some reason, you're making me feel old. The idea here is we have a fabric within our organization in which we're all equally accountable. We try not to be terribly hierarchical, and our veterans come in very hierarchically focused. And I actually explain to them, we want you to be a thinker, not that you weren't a thinker in the military, but we're going to get out of this hierarchical environment. And, we're always respectful because respect is the currency that makes the world go round, but we hold each other accountable. So whereas at your old command, you might not tell the colonel or definitely the admiral or the general that they did something wrong, it's okay in our business to tell me, you think, now maybe I might disagree with you and we'll have that discussion. But we spend a lot of time mentoring our veterans to be more collaborative and less hierarchical. So that's really the ways we'll approach that. And then, of course, I always like to make sure that they understand that they have to take control of their career. In the military, you kind of do your time. You maybe, if you're in the Navy, certain exams you need to take. If you're in other branches, you have a feel for, you work hard, you do good work, you spend time, you get your good fit reps, you'll get promoted. Not so in the business world. There are a lot of implied or unknown metrics that they need to be aware of. And I like to make sure they understand that. And then also understand, obviously, that we do have a lot of counseling. And what I let them know is you're going to get counseled early and often. But unlike the military, where maybe people were giving you a warning or Article 15 or something like that, this is coaching. And unless I say you've done something wrong, you're doing great. And the reason why I'm spending time with you, or your manager's spending time with you, is because we're feeling the love here. And then, of course, I do have some military techniques I fall back on. And I tell them this very bluntly. I'm going to praise in public, and we're going to talk about real issues in private. So that's how we approach that one.
I love that. And right, having those kinds of conversations are really important. Sometimes people think that whenever they're meeting the founder and CEO, right, the president, they feel a little intimidated and they think it's an issue, but at the same time, it could be beneficial for them to grow, to really express their stresses. Sometimes they may be stressed, they may be struggling, and reaching out and asking for help is also key. And that's why those kinds of sponsorship programs, those resource groups, are very important to really support this amazing community. Now to you, Tony, what kind of issues do you think need to be really taken care of to support our military community? You as a veteran, I know you've transitioned as well, both of you being veterans, but within Raytheon directly, how do you guys do it to support our military community?
I would say the biggest thing from inside of Raytheon is mentorship, coaching, mentoring inside of the organization, because we are so large, you can get lost very quickly and feel, the biggest thing that I feel like all of us miss is that camaraderie that we had in the military. And I think that plays into why a lot of veterans leave their first job in the first year, is they get in, they, like you said, they get in the daily grind, and I think that's why it's so important to have ERGs for, veteran ERGs. And we work really hard that every veteran that self-identifies, we try to make sure that they get assigned a veteran mentor. They get involved with our veteran ERG. We did a big meetup at Topgolf 2 weeks ago in Tucson for all our veterans at the local plant. So really just some little things like that help us with our retention. And veterans, I feel, one of the big issues is they still need guidance when they get out. We're so used to getting guidance inside the military. And a lot of times you could sit in the same position in corporate America for 20 years and no one's going to care, because we need people still to do the job. And all it takes is one company to come and offer them a promotion or, increase, and they'll leave the company. So I think having career conversations on a regular basis with veterans once they're inside your company, finding out their desires and needs and interests, is really going to help keep them around longer with the company.
No, that's very true. That's very true. What kind of communication plans do you use to keep your groups together?
I would say for us, the communication plan is our biggest communication plan we use is our ERG. Okay. We depend really heavily on our ERG inside the organization to communicate with our veteran population inside of the company. Now, outside of the company, as far as our veteran population that we're trying to attract is really our local organizations, like your organization we work very closely with, a lot of VSOs, transition centers, and we use our CRM to really manage our veteran pipelines to make sure that they don't fall into these black holes, keep them engaged, make sure we're promoting them out across the company.
That's great. It's a great source of really getting the word out there that there is a group in there that supports our military community, right? Now I'm going to ask another question. What kind of struggle did you face going into the workforce when you transitioned out of the military?
Is that for me, Sonia, or is that for Tony?
Yeah, go ahead.
For Tony. It's for both, but Tony,
Okay.
you're here right now.
Okay, so I mean, really the biggest struggle for me is, I'm gonna tell y'all, my last job before the Army was Lowe's, and then that was it. So I went from a kid to a grown man with a family looking for a job. In the first, I think the biggest struggle for me is I was willing to take whatever came to me because I needed a job. And I think that's how so many of us end up underdeployed or unemployed or under whatever you want to call it. So I think the biggest struggle is really just figuring out where I belonged in corporate America. And I give a lot of that to the Skill Bridge program, just really helping me. But I would say having a mentor is really, really important as you're getting ready to transition out, because they can help you so much. I just didn't know where I belong, where I fit. I knew what I wanted to do. But I was willing to take anything. So that my biggest struggle was fear. I mean, I was scared to death. Even after I got a job, I was scared, because like, oh my gosh, I could get laid off tomorrow. Or so I would say, and get a good mentor early as you're starting that transition, and they will help you tremendously through that journey.
Were you able to reach out to a group or a resource aside from the employer to get any assistance or any help that you may need? Was that assistance out there?
No, I used the transitions. I went to the transition assistance, the TAP program, like everyone. And I was very motivated as I was getting out. I did all the networking events I could possibly find in my area in Colorado. And that's I really took it my own hands to make sure I was successful, but so many people don't.
Because it's a lot of information, right? Like we have to take into consideration there's a lot of information. It can get a little overwhelming sometimes, and having that assistance is crucial for a lot of the service members that, don't have or may not have the availability or the bandwidth to have that initiative at that time. A lot of service members are working until the last day with their units, and then they don't take the time to really think about themselves, think about their transition, think about what it is to get into the civilian sector. And when they get there, it can be a little scary. So having those groups in place are really important as well.
Yeah, and then having the organizations like yours that have partnerships with organizations like Raytheon and these companies that say, hey, I know you'd be a great fit. Here, talk to Tony or Rosie or his team. So I think those connections are what help veterans the most. Or having organizations like yours that have so many connections across, because it takes a long time to build your own network on LinkedIn. I mean, let's be real, it took me years to build a really good network. So having what I call force multipliers, like Arizona, Be Connect, those are phenomenal. It helps you very quickly.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to go to you, Michael. What was your experience when you transitioned, and what is something that you feel was lacking within the civilian sector, organizations, employers, in order to have a successful transition? And how did you get to where you are right now, a founder of a cyber?
So this is a good segue, because my story is probably the opposite of Tony's. I was deployed right up until like about a month before I got out. I was overseas in the Philippines, and from there I just come from the Gulf War. So on top of that, I wasn't prepared. I didn't even think about the transition. I just was like, I want to be the best Marine I can be. I want to do my job. And then one day I'm out, and, kind of candidly, the Marine Corps teaches you can do anything. And because you're a Marine, everybody's going to open the doors for you. And it didn't work that way. I got out actually during the recession of 1992. And I remember not knowing the resources, and part of this was on me at the time, but I don't think there were nearly the resources that there are now. I did pay for someone to create a resume for me. Did absolutely no good. I remember this, I sent out 131 letters with my resume in it, because I remember licking 131 letters and licking 131 stamps back in the old days. And I was fortunate after 9 months to get one interview. And at that time, it was an interview with Booz Allen Hamilton, which I ended up being there for 10 years. And the thing that I learned was that I didn't take control, and I didn't know where to go. And I use that now for the passion that we have for our members, to try to kind of imbue upon the servicemen, members and women, a year or 18 months before they get out, to start thinking about what you want to do, where you're going to land, who you should be talking to. I mean, Tony, you hit a great point. Servicemen and women don't have civilian networks by and large, and they should be building on that. And I will tell you, I am continuously impressed by servicemen and women who do reach out to me through LinkedIn, even though they're on active duty. And I respond to every single one of them, because I'm like, wow, this person, they had much more forethought than I did. A year, 18 months out. And for every one of them, when they reach out, the first thing I say is, make sure you reach out to SkillBridge. It is the best program in the world. It is such a way to jumpstart the transition. The other component of that is just teaching them to understand that in the civilian world, unfortunately, people aren't glad to have you at the command, and you're not set up for a position when you PCS. They're looking at you often in terms of how are they going to monetize your services to them. And, depending on who you are, what you want, great or not great. The cold, hard truth, though, is most of us do have to basically have a cost benefit with all of our employees. And so the idea is that they understand that the value they can or should bring, the role they can or should have, and the kind of responsibility they have to ask for a mentor and to seek guidance, as opposed to this hierarchical background they come from, which often many people are, waiting to be told what to do. And one of the biggest mistakes, by the way, when I got out and when I joined Booz Allen, my first year, I worked hard. I was just so eager to please, and I was working 10, 12 hours a day. And I remember at the end of the year, my boss said, Michael, you got a 4% raise, and you should be very happy because everybody else got a 3%. And I said, well, I want to get promoted. And he goes, oh, no, you haven't done enough to get promoted. I'm like, well, what do I need to do? And then he laid out for me the things that I needed to do that had nothing to do with the job I was doing. And I think that's a really big lesson for a lot of our veterans to understand, that there's a lot more in the civilian world other than just what you do from 8 to 5 in that job. And that's just kind of the big thing I would relay. And to network with others who've gotten out before them to get lessons learned and to leverage their networks as well.
Yeah. And I would kind of tie that into, like, if you want to be like a veteran awesome company, you have to have, whether you have the funds or the budget to have your own military team, I would make sure you have advocates inside your business that are on LinkedIn. And I keep saying LinkedIn, but that's where all veterans are required to make a LinkedIn, even if they use it or not. But I would say have those faces on LinkedIn, or those advocates, whether it's a program manager in your plant or someone in talent acquisition. You have to build your reputation outside, of your four walls. And that starts with, your willingness to network and to give advice and to help veterans, and those success stories that you're going to start seeing pop up on LinkedIn, like, oh, so-and-so helped me and I owe my career to them. And that's going to, veterans know veterans, veterans refer veterans. And those are the things that are going to help you grow and become a veteran awesome company that we don't have just that sticker from Military Friendly for the end of the year. We actually put our money where our mouth is and provide those services, and really make a difference in people's lives.
No, and it's, networking is key. Networking is very powerful, especially in this community, right? Because we all share resources. We share what we know. If something works for you, it's going to work for someone else, or it could work for someone else, and you want to share it. You get excited about it. You get excited about all these different resources that helped you succeed in your career, and you want to show them and share them with your military community as well. What advice would you guys give to these organizations, these agencies, employers, in order to successfully be able to advocate and support service members within their organization? Mike,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. I love this question, Sonia, and I'm passionate about it. And it's a simple answer that's hard. The simple answer is you must be purposeful, and it must be supported by tone at the top. And Tony, you're hitting the nail on the head. Having the bumper sticker that said we're veteran friendly is great, but it needs to be purposeful and tone at the top. And when there's the tone at the top that says, this is important to me, the CEO, and I want you all to have a program, and I want you to report to me. That's tone at the top. The purposeful nature of this is that the people who support it need to understand what it is they want to do, how they want to do, and be accountable for what they do. And my feeling is they need to be accountable to the service members they bring in. Those are the people that I think should be rating your veteran program. So it's a bottom-up rating system that should be supported top-down. That to me is it in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I would agree 100%. Having executive level support for any veteran initiative and program is very important. But even if you have the veteran or the supported executive level, you have to have the boots on the ground to execute the work. And I think that's just as important. As you need those passionate people on your team that will go out of their way, go the extra mile to help a veteran get a job. Like I told Ayla and Sonia, my team, none of my team had any talent acquisition experience, and my team falls under that talent DE&I umbrella. But I brought them in because they have a huge passion for helping veterans and spouses. And that's what if you've got executive support and sponsorship and passionate people on the ground, you're destined for success. When it comes to veterans inside the company, we really believe in mentorship, getting them involved with our ERGs and help them grow their career. I can't name how many veterans I've kept inside of Raytheon because I had a 20-minute conversation with them about their career that no one else has had. So just don't forget about them once you bring them in. Make sure they're involved. Camaraderie is a big reason a lot of people stay around.
I love that you said that, right? Like staying in touch with them is very important, because it's not just at the beginning, it's throughout their career too, making sure that they get guidance and help. And if there's anything that they can do to grow within the organization, they have someone to really turn to and ask for support. So I want to give at the end a few minutes for questions, but I do want to ask Ayla Linder, who is our program manager here at the Be Connected Career Navigation and Employer Engagement team, her feedback too, as a veteran, as an employer, like what your feedback is to, and what was lacking when you transitioned out to, and what you could be turn yourself to whenever the time was.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonia. And, as an Air Force veteran myself, I did have a little bit different than Tony and Michael. I did have experience prior to going to the military. So that really set me apart in the military, having to report to people who were younger than me by 5 years. And that was a huge culture shock. When I then made my escape from the Air Force, I call it escape because I was an entrepreneur at heart. I didn't want to answer to anyone else. So I took, as Tony did, I took all the Boost of Business, all the TAP resources. Mind you, I've been out only for about 4 or 5 years now. So it's pretty recent, right? They've made some great improvements to TAP since I've even been in. But I did take all the resources. Unfortunately, Be Connected was there, but I didn't take that. And unfortunately, also, I didn't, even though Raytheon was there here in Tucson, I'm physically in Tucson, I didn't take advantage of those, skill bridge opportunities. I assumed, right, that it was a cyber and IT only, and I didn't have a science degree either. So I just thought, well, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a computer whiz, there's nothing for me, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur, which I did, right? But really looking for my next move career-wise was kind of the reason why, looking for something that was as supportive as a couple of teams I had in the military. It was really hard to find that in the civilian workforce. And that's really what pushed me to be an entrepreneur and run my dad's business from the ground up and really restructure it. I was a business development manager for him and really helped recreate the way that he was doing business with military contracts. I was able to speak the language. So I felt comfortable. But it took me several years to kind of figure out, going from employer to employer to employer, what veteran friendly looks like and what veteran awesome looks like. Coming into a workplace and coming to a break room and talking about going to the VA for an appointment and, you know, the language we use as veterans and this and that, and just the ups and downs of life. You don't get that when you're in a non-supportive environment where there are no other veterans. If you don't have someone who looks and talks like you, we're not talking race or language or religion. We're talking about the culture that you bring. If there are no other veterans at that place of employment, you don't have a buddy to talk to about things from the past, right? You don't have someone who understands the struggle of transitioning and finding a place that you can call your own. And so I like the fact that you're asking for my feedback, Sonia, because as a hiring manager now at Be Connected, I'm able to see that those that we do hire onto our team, they really need and they love and they really are eager to find that place to call home, and really creating a place that we can, you know, have those conversations, having those end of day huddles, and really doing as we are looking for, right, is to be supportive. And we're very task driven at Be Connected, very high ops tempo. We have tentacles and Be Connected all over the state and nationally. And we're just very busy, but at the end of the day, with the high ops tempo, just as we hope, we're also looking to support our employees. And so myself as a veteran, I'm very passionate about creating a workplace that's very supportive and still flexible to the life's ups and downs, right? And so I absolutely love where I'm at now, because I can see it as a hiring manager how to create and continue to create better ways to support our employees and our team as a whole, ACMF. So, and then coming from the Air Force and transitioning and having those ups and downs, and I had a lot of barriers to employment. It really makes me passionate to see Tony and Michael here with their stories, right? And we get to interact with these employers and employment service providers and state agencies and federal agencies. And it's exciting to interact with other veterans and military spouses and veteran spouses, because we get to hear that they've found a place to call home and they're really trying to make it better. And so I challenge everyone here today, those who are military and veteran spouses, those who are veterans, and those are just connected to the military in any way, shape, or form. Look around your workplace today, whether it's a virtual office or an on-site office or hybrid office. Look around your office today and really think about how you can contribute to a more supportive, to the military connected community environment. You know, you can do something yourself, whether that's you and your office, your team, or maybe you're in a position of power where you can actually make those changes, as Michael is right now. Tony and I were talking earlier about, you know, his ability to think creatively. You know, you may not have the power of the CEO or the president of a company, but you can do a little bit in your position, you know, positional power. So I challenge everyone here today to think about those and take away from the conversation today that we had, which was really excellent. And then bringing up anyone who's attending questions that we can kind of ask Tony and Michael about way forward, right? And we'll have a solution session. We're going to talk about resources that can be helpful to that resource group for the veterans and their families. But I would love to, and thank you, Sonia, for giving me the mic for a second, is, you know, really the passion that you see here in this virtual room is, you know, bar none, where you're going to see every employer that we interact and engage with Be Connected. And so I'd love to hear in the chat other types of conversations. We still have a couple of minutes to kind of go through those questions on what you all would like to know, or tips and tricks on what you can do in your workplace today, starting today, right? Or tomorrow, depending. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, start your workday off with something that may be small, but a small change can lead to great things in regards to making a veteran awesome. So thank you so much, Sonia, for giving me the mic and letting me share my story.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for giving the feedback. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Michael. You know, what you guys shared today is very important, and is just the passion that you all have in order to really serve this community that really is just motivating, right? And it's really encouraging for all of us to really hear and feel supported as well. I know I feel very blessed to be under Ayla. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So now we're gonna turn into the questions. Let's see what questions we have. How would one go about starting the conversation with employers to become veteran awesome? Which one of you would like to take that?
Tony, why don't you take that? You have got a program there that I think really is probably flagship for this answer.
Hey, can you read the question again? I was trying to get off mute and distracted. Something, I got half of it. I want to make sure I get it right though.
how would you go about starting the conversation with employers to become veteran awesome?
How would you start the conversation with employers to become veteran awesome? So are you talking about from like internal to the company, or?
I would take it as both, right? Like as an employee, how can you tell your management team?
How can you make them be a veteran awesome?
Yeah. Because you have someone in your team that is a veteran, or you're a veteran yourself, and you would want to bring more veterans within that organization, but they don't have the support system in place.
I, that's a hard one. I would say probably a good place to start with just simple little things that you can affect from, impact from your level, whether that's, simple things like don't wait till Veterans Day to do things for veterans. I mean, that's a simple thing. I would say have your manager or your COO or whatever, depending on the size of your company, send a thank you card to all the veterans, thanking them for their service, and I don't know, a little lapel pin or something cool like that. Things like.
Yeah, Tony, I
Go ahead.
would just on this one, because it is a hard one. Look, I just look at you because you have a program that I think is a flagship program, Tony. My suggestion would be don't tell the employer that they need to be veteran friendly. Offer to volunteer to be the person who sets up the veteran friendly program. Lead, follow, get the hell out of the way. If your business doesn't have it, well then, offer to do this on your personal time. I as a boss or an owner, someone came to me and had a program like that I didn't know anything about. And let's just say it's something other than veteran friendly. We all get that here, but maybe it's something else. If someone said to me, Michael, I think you need this, I'd probably be like, well, I don't have time. What's it cost? How do you do it? But if they said, let me do it, no cost, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Don't worry, I'm not going to embarrass you. It's not going to cost you. That would be my suggestion, would be set it up yourself and volunteer.
And yeah, and kind of to even the larger company of Raytheon they didn't have a dedicated military relations team until very recently. And that was started, the whole thing was started by a bunch of employees that had a passion for veteran hiring. They put together a presentation. They pulled data from, hey, these are our competitors. This is where they're sitting for veteran population. And before you know it, they were in front of 8 of our business vice presidents. And one of them said, I'm going to pay for you to create a military relations team. And it's because I have a passion for that. And that's where my team, all started, from employees that had a true passion. And they just, they wouldn't take no for an answer. They knew it was something that was needed inside of our company. They put together presentations. They were showing it across the enterprise, like, hey, this is the value that bringing veterans into the company brings. This is just a whole bunch of statistics, and they eventually got it in front of the right people. And here I am today, and I have a team that does this. And yeah,
it's about taking the initiative, right?
It is.
It's all about taking the initiative. So Mark is the person that asked the question. He said external focus, and I would say honestly, turn to those organizations like the Arizona Coalition, right, to really have those employers get educated within the military community as well. It's very important for those hiring managers, for those HR departments to really understand what it is to hire military, in order to have a group in there to actually support this amazing community. So I think education is key, and making sure that you have someone in there that actually also takes in the HR department to also take the initiative to really focus and see the importance in this.
And I think the way to get like an external focus on it is your company having partnerships with all of your local VSOs and having a good reputation in the military community. Because I know that Sonia and Ayla are going to refer people to me because they know that my team is going to take care of them. So I think, to get your company known as Veteran Awesome, you have to have a good reputation in the community. It's a small community. Like I worked with Sonia when I first started Raytheon, a totally different aspect of it. But if I was mean to her then, she was going to remember it. You know what I mean? So you've got to take care of each other. So
it's very true. It's networking, right? It's the power of network.
Yeah, it works at all. Yeah. And as big as Raytheon is, we have a reputation to uphold and for veterans. So.
Very, very true. Do we have any more questions? I know the time is running out, or I think we just went a little bit over, right, Ayla?
Yep, we're out of time now, and I know being cognizant of everyone's time, we do have a solution session coming up here in just a few minutes, and to give us time to get this platform ready to go for that next solution session, I did drop a link for a referral form, and what that will get you guys, those who are already connected, you guys are already in our system as a community partner or as a veteran support partner. If not, or if you know someone who would be interested, you can actually refer them yourself, or they can self-refer via that chat form that's on the very bottom of the chat. And what that will do is actually send an automated email to the person's email. So make sure that if you do refer somebody from XYZ company, make sure you let them know so it doesn't go to their spam or their junk or promotion folder on their email. It'll help our admin assistant do those follow-up emails for referrals. Appreciate that. But if those you who are here and you really want to get engaged with the ecosystem of support with Sonia, she is our employment engagement coordinator and skill bridge coordinator. So she does a lot, right? And she does teach, guide, and give those resources that you heard about today that Tony and Michael are taking advantage of, not just for skill bridge, but for resources outside of the career development field. So thank you guys so much. Sonia, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. Please come to our solution session because we're going to be discussing how we can fix and work together in order to really support this amazing community within our organizations, as employers, as agencies, as organizations. Thank you, Ayla, for giving your insight as well. Again, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Michael, and thank you everyone for attending today. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.